Hi, welcome to week 3 of CIPP prep. If you are looking for video number 1, I'll put a link for that in the description. In week 1, we started with reading the IAPP book. In week 2, we went through the GDPR. Now we are going to come back to the IAPP because, as I said before, that was just a shallow reading. We were not trying to memorize anything, we were just trying to understand things. In the second reading of the book, we are going to go slower, way slower. And now we're going to start paying attention to what is important for us to memorize. It is really important to bear in mind that this is the Bible for the exam. So I could give you 600 materials and ask you to go through them, but that's not exactly going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the entire book down into a few parts depending on similar material and how interconnected the material is, and then we are going to go through the material. We are not going to go through the history first because I personally don't want to have to memorize the history twice. So history is something that I'm going to do towards the end. For now, I'm going to start with chapter 4, 5, 6 and 7. How we're going to go about this is we are going to read the material and categorize all the information we go through into 4 categories. Those categories will be case laws, examples, EDPB guidelines, miscellaneous. Now, it's pretty straightforward. When you go through a certain information, if it is case law related, you put it in the case law category. If it is example related, you put it in the example category. If it is EDPP guidelines related, you put it in that category. This will basically help us understand what is important and what is not. Earlier, we had gone through, we had started underlining GDPR articles that are important while we were reading the exam. And right now, we can go through that and just mark it and say, okay, this is what was important. Now, what we have to bear in mind here is the intention is not to be picky with the GDPR articles. I think that it's a good thing to have command over the bare law itself. So if you want, you can take that approach, but I personally won't take that approach. You can make these notes in 2 formats. One, you can just digitally copy it down into a notebook, like a Word document, that's what I'm trying to say, or make flashcards out of it, whatever works better for you. If you think that you're better at writing things down and that's how you memorize things better, then I would suggest go with the former approach where you're copying things down onto Word, which you will later write down on one notebook. You will compile all of that information, you will put it in a systemic order, whatever you like. But if you think you need active recall while you are preparing, make flashcards. I personally need flashcards. That's the only way I'm able to repeat material. Now, here, the reason why we are going to read this book in depth is because there are a lot of people who are preparing for the exam who do not have a law background. And you need to get used to reading legalese. अगर आपकी पकड़ इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज पे कमज़ोर है तो ये एग्ज़ाम देने में आपको दिक्कत होगी. आपको सेंटेंसेस ऐसे मिल सकते हैं जिनका लिटरल मीनिंग एंड लॉ मीनिंग इज डिफरेंट. If I were to give you an example, it would be something maybe like a supplier assumes the risks associated with the vendor's data. Now that literally could mean something different than it means legally. And now that we also have started memorizing the GDPR, we also should be able to remember what the consequences of that would be. Another thing that you have to bear in mind is that you don't have to force yourself into understanding anything. This is the stage at which AI can help you. And yes, we do reach a stage where AI cannot help you anymore. My mentors have told me that when you are closer to the exam, when you are giving the mocks, it's slightly more difficult for AI to help you because AI is not trained to catch on to the nuances that you as a consultant should be able to. So that is a point we'll get to later. What to do there is something we'll discuss then. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But right now, the entire goal is to get familiar with legalese and also familiar in a manner that is used in Europe. In India, we have a very different way of going about laws and how they're worded. So you might need a little bit of training on reading this kind of material. I'm going to be very honest, from the little bit that I have gone through, it's not that difficult. If you have the, if you by any chance used to enjoy reading in your teenage, which maybe died when you went into college, or it's still alive, you will be able to get through this quite easily. One thing I've been meaning to clarify is that the pace of this preparation is very intentional. If you think that things are moving really slow, feel free to just move on to the next week if that's available. This particular manner of preparation is for people who are working and maybe, studying in university. And the reason why we are moving at this pace is because you have to build a momentum and maintain it. And that is not possible for people who are working consistently, because you don't know the amount of work you're going to get. Same for university, you're not going to know how heavy your assignments are going to be. So the point is to start preparing, build a momentum, and the momentum should be sustainable and such that even if you get a break in the middle, even if you for some reason have to stop working, you have enough preparation, you have enough active recall, you have enough in your memory to be able to start back from where you left off, and you don't have to start all over again. Now for the supplementary part of the video. While you are preparing for this exam, please try to get adequate sunlight. If you are preparing during the winter months, wake up in the morning, try to get some sunlight, even if it is while you're working, even if it is while you're going through your flashcards, just stand in the sun for a little bit. The best way to go about it would be to go on a walk. And if you want to go out on a walk, there are a few CIPP training materials that are on YouTube. So you can just keep hearing them and go on with that. I personally don't use CIPP training material on YouTube because it just gives you a false sense of security regarding the exam, which I don't want. You can just put the IAPP book on something like text to speech and listen to that. But I just feel like once you've heard it, you will not want to read it again. So I would just put on some music and take that time for myself. But not everyone has that privilege. What you do need to do is get some sun, because we're just plants that are mobile. So to be able to function well, you need that sun. With this, I think this video is going to come to an end. If there is something that comes to my mind later on, I'll put it there in the description. My LinkedIn is on the description, and any other things that you might need to know, any other material that I might find, will be in the description of the subsequent videos as I keep finding them. I hope you have a nice day, and I hope you have a great week preparing. Bye-bye.